Welcome back. Part 3, last part of the urinary system. I hope you've been all right and you're keeping up with it. And I hope you have watched these 2 YouTube clips. And I'm assuming you've read your book and you're having a go at filling out page 62 and 63. It's not that easy because you're only getting bits of information. So we will give you all the answers next. Cool. So let me just move this PowerPoint along. Da-da-da. Oh, it's gone all the way back to the start. Sorry, guys. Cool. Yeah, that's where I want you up to, and we've done all that. Alrighty ho. Urine. So I'm going to teach this, and you can watch all these YouTube clips. I hope you've probably already watched them. But there is a norm. There is a norm of what your urine should look like. Okay, so when you are going to do your case study 2, the person has a UTI, a urinary tract infection. It doesn't say which one, it just says a urinary tract infection. So that's quite a broad range. But what you do need to know is that urine does have a normal ranges. And when you know the normal ranges, you can understand the things that are out of the normal ranges. So your urine should be light amber in color, quite a light color. If it's a dark yellow, if it's a red, if there's blood in the urine, then you're going to realize, well, what has that person eaten? What are the medications they are on? Is this normal for this person or not? Okay. It should smell slightly. It should never be a strong smell. And if someone has a UTI, not only does it change color, you can it gives an odor. There are different types of odors. If someone's got diabetes, it's a sweet smelling odor. If someone's got a UTI, it's normally quite an aggressive odor. Now, we don't use this specific gravity range anymore. Some do. It's quite old-fashioned. It's how they basically used to weigh your urine. And they would weigh it. And if there's more protein in your urine, then the specific gravity range would be higher. All right. And that's an indicator. Protein should not be in your urine. Protein is quite large. It's a large chemical, and it cannot get through that glomerulus, and it cannot get into the Bowman's capsule. If it does, it could be damaged up there in the glomerulus, in the filters in the kidneys, or it could be something that's eaten away in the bladder. Okay, pH. The pH acidity should be around 6. When you drink water, the water you drink to make it not harmful to you is between the 7 and 7.5. So urine is slightly acidic. If it's even more acidic, it's going to burn. It's going to have a burning sensation. And if it's more acidic, and it's on the skin, it could actually start eating away at the skin, causing skin ulcers and rashes. Depending on the next one of volume does depend on obviously how much you drink. But throughout the day, the average person, I'm drinking the average 8 small glasses of water, should urinate 1.5 litres a day. But of course, if you drink a lot more water, you're going to be urinating a lot more than that. But it's just knowing what the person has consumed so you can measure that volume, especially if they're on a catheter. Now, what is creatine? What is in your urine? Okay, so hopefully it's mainly wastes or stuff that the body doesn't need. But the main products are uric acid, urea, and creatinine. All right, so they are waste chemicals that the body, it's a byproduct of what the body's used up, and it's how it's excreted out the body. All right, so this is your norms. When you're going to do your UTI with your case study 2, you need to know your norms, the normal ranges, to know when it's outside of the range. Okay, so this is one of your answers. Not all of it, but some of it, depending on the client and individual. Now, I'm just going to quickly look at your book on page 61. Let me get to the end of this. Don't need this anymore. Yep, page 61. And we don't talk about hormones much because as we get older, our hormones deplete, especially with the reproductive system, and we stop having our menstrual cycles in women. Not too sure what the men, I think the testosterone slightly changed and everything becomes out of balance or non-existent. But there are 2 important hormones in our body which help regulate our electrolytes and our water, okay? Now, an aldosterone hormone is produced by your adrenal gland. So if you go all the way back, I'll get the picture up for you. Your adrenal glands, and glands produce hormones. Can you see? Adrenal glands are here. It's a triangle hat. It looks like a walnut and it sits on top of your kidneys. Your adrenal gland actually produces a few hormones, but the one that we're going to learn about is called aldosterone. Your aldosterone hormone balances and knows when your body needs to basically reabsorb sodium or get rid of sodium. It keeps the balance of sodium in the kidneys. And like I said, sodium is a type of electrolyte and it has like electrical charge to help muscle contraction. So thank you for our aldosterone hormone when it's working well, that is released from the adrenal glands in the bloodstream, swims through the kidneys, and it helps the bodies have a balance of sodium. The next hormone we're going to learn is called your antidiuretic hormone. Now, this actually does get imbalanced as you get older, and it gets imbalanced depending on the conditions that you've got. Your antidiuretic hormone is produced, I want to say, from your brain. There's a few little glands deep smack in the middle of our brain. And one of the glands there, you've got, it's called your hypothalamus. There's a thalamus gland, a hypothalamus gland, and at the end of the hypothalamus gland is something called your pituitary gland. We're going to touch on this possibly when we do the nervous system, but it's quite in-depth and quite complex. But all we need to know is this pituitary gland, which is smack deep in the middle of the brain, releases the hormone chemicals, a lot of hormones into the body, okay? Some of the hormones that it releases is if you're pregnant, and then it gives off prolactin. It helps you produce milk. It also has the hormone which helps with our sexual urgencies, testosterone, and all sorts like that. But one I want you to remember is called your antidiuretic hormone, okay? Your antidiuretic hormone tells your body to hold on to water. So if you're getting thirsty or your body's dehydrated, the pituitary gland in your brain will release this hormone into your bloodstream, and it will go to the kidneys and everywhere around your body, and it will hold on to water because your body needs water. Now, this is great when you're healthy, but as you get older, these hormones don't really know how to work properly. And what can happen is this antidiuretic hormone can be released too much and tell your body to hold on to too much water. Now, if there's a lot of water in your blood, then it's taking up room. It's taking up too much room for your red blood cells to be in there. And if there's too much water in your blood and there's not enough red blood cells because they can't get into the bloodstream because it's just full of water, your blood pressure is going to spike up. Your blood pressure is going to go high because the body is going, we need to put more oxygen around the body. But because there's not enough red blood cells in the bloodstream because the water's taking up all the space, your heart and your pressure is going to go, boo, boo, boo. We've got to keep it going around. So there is a medication that probably a lot of your clients are on. It's a type of diuretic. And what this pill medication does, it makes them urinate a lot more, promotes water loss. So if they can get the amount of water out of the bloodstream, then more red blood cells can get back in, which means their blood pressure can come down. It's sufficient. We can go over this in class if you like. Again, it's because it's quite interesting. I think I talked about it when we did the cardiac lesson as well, when I talked about the ping pong balls. And if you put a lid on and the ping pong balls are in the bucket and the water, and if you filled up that bucket with water, the ping pong balls are going to come out. The ping pong balls were your red blood cells. So get rid of that water, more ping pong balls can get into the bucket. Yeah. So diuretics, if you know somebody that is on a diuretic, it will have another name. The medication will have another name, but the household name is diuretics. It will cause the person to want to urinate fast. So if you were to sit them up in the morning, you've got to think about putting them on the toilet quite quickly and more often. And because they are going to the toilet, you want to make sure that their hygiene is all up and running, eh? Oh, this is awesome. This is all about kidney transplants and stuff. You can watch that in your own time. But what I'm going to do, oh, hold on. Oh, this is a great website as well. I want you to click on. It tells you all about the different types of urinary tract. You can use this website as one of your, to help you do your case study too. Remember, learn it. Don't copy and paste. It is illegal. So learn it and do your best to put most of it in your own words. But I do understand signs and symptoms, they have to be what they have to be. They're exact, okay? But it's just you knowing what the urinary system does, how it works, and if you have one of these disorders. So there's vaginitis. Think of vagina. Itis is inflammation of the vagina, okay? Urethritis, think of where the urethra is. Itis means inflammation. That's inflammation of just the urethra. Cystitis, cyst means hollow sac, hollow muscular sac. Itis, that's inflammation of the bladder. Glomerulitis, right, where's the glomerulus? Oh, it's in the nephron, which is all the filters of the kidney. If those glomerulus are inflamed, that's pretty severe. That's in the heart of the kidney. Okay, so it's lots more, lot more traumatic. Okay, so you can use this website. Right, we're going to go through those questions. I'll go fast, but you can rewind this. I just don't want to bore you, that's all. Good learning too. So the bladder collects urine. When the bladder fills up to about 250 milliliters of urine, it will stretch like a balloon. And as it stretches, there are little nerve endings in there that send a signal to the brain to say, oh, I'm full, I need to go to the toilet. There you go. So when urine has formed, the bladder will stretch, which activates stretch receptors in the walls of the bladder. An impulse is sent to the sacral region. So think of when we did the skeletal system, we did cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccyx. So an impulse goes to the sacral region of your central nervous system and sends a signal up the spinal cord and then back to the bladder to make it to go into contractions. That's when you're on the toilet. The contractions become stronger and urine is forced past the internal sphincter to the top part of that little urethra. And this is when the person will need to urinate. Because the external sphincter is voluntary, you can choose to keep it closed. All right, you can choose to keep it closed. So 250, stretch receptors, sacral region, bladder, internal sphincter, urinate, external sphincter. Right, let's go to the big one on page 63. The functions of the urinary system are to remove waste products from the blood and to maintain water and electrolyte balance within the body. The kidneys are two bean-shaped organs which are located in your mid-back. They lie against the muscles of the back, either side of the spine. They are protected by the lower edge of the rib cage. Structurally, each kidney has over 1 million tiny nephrons. The nephron is the basic working unit of the kidney. Each nephron has a convoluted tubule, which is a tiny coiled tubule. Each convoluted tubule has a Bowman's capsule at one end. The capsule partially surrounds a cluster of capillaries called a glomerulus. Blood passes through the glomerulus and is filtered to form filtrate. Filtrate, plasma minus proteins and cells, is squeezed into the Bowman's capsule. The fluid then passes into the tubule. Most of the water and other necessary substances are selectively reabsorbed back by the blood and recirculated into the body. Unwanted excess substances that have not been filtered through the Bowman's capsule and are not already part of the filtrate are secreted from the blood into the tubules. The fluid and waste products that flow through the tubules into the collecting duct form urine. All the collecting tubules with millions of nephrons drain into the renal pelvis of the kidney. A tube called the ureter is attached to the renal pelvis of the kidney. Each ureter is approximately 25 centimeters long. The ureters carry urine from the kidney to the bladder. Structurally, the bladder is a hollow muscular sac situated towards the front of the lower abdomen. And what's that muscular sac called? Detrusor. Functionally, the bladder stores urine until the desire to urinate is felt. The need to urinate usually occurs when there's about 250 mils of urine in the bladder. Urine passes from the bladder through the urethra. The opening at the end of the urethra is the meatus. I didn't talk about that, but the opening is called the meatus. Urine passes through the body through the meatus. So it gives you the answer there, doesn't it, really? Urine is a clear yellowish fluid, and a healthy adult excretes about 1.5 or 1,500 mils a day. Urine production is influenced by body temperature, perspiration, external temperature, and some drugs. Many other factors may influence the amount of urine produced, such as age, illness, and the amount one drinks, and the amount of sodium in someone's diet. A diet of high salt causes the body to retain fluid, therefore less urine is produced. There are also certain substances which will increase urine production, for example, coffee, tea, alcohol, and some drugs. Urination, mimi, voiding, micturition all mean the same thing. Cool. Now, I hope those two stories, when you understand and read those, that will help you answer what body system or disease or disorder affects. Describe in detail how the system should function and how the disease, the UTI, is affecting the system. That's your answer there. Obviously not word for word, but that's your good understanding how it should work. The nephrons that sit in the kidney filter, all the filtrate collects into the collecting duct that goes down into the through renal pelvis down to the ureter to the bladder. Signs and symptoms of a UTI. Well, you know how a urine should look: light in color, faint smell, urinating 1.5 liters a day. Now, when you look on the website, when someone has a UTI, there's a smell, an odor. They could be urinating more often. There might be burning sensations when they pee, and the color will be off color. But what color? It could be red, could be dark brown, whatever it might be. How caregivers appropriate response management to assist with the cares of the client with this condition. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that it's always clean down that area, provide a barrier if it is starting to get quite acidic. You will want to make sure that the person can get to the toilet quickly. You want to make sure they're consuming water and not so much toxins and so forth. You can get them, if they like it and they're allowed it, cranberry juice and natural yogurts. Tools and methods, you can do a pH retest and you can see what the pH is. I'm sure you're allowed to use that. And you can monitor the changes if the urine is becoming clearer and they're in less pain and the antibiotics that they've been given or the medicines they've been given is working. So you can tell by how it should look, see if the symptoms are getting better. Tools and methods that RN or doctor may use to monitor changes. So there are certain wee tests they're going to do, you're going to talk about, urine tests. and what they're looking for, and how they more than likely are going to prescribe antibiotics, whether it be topical on top or orally. So have a little look into that as well. Cool. And let's go to digestive system. Enjoy yourselves. Have fun.